Well, greetings everyone. Yesterday I did a little video showing what I was hoping was showing the fire that I had on November 4th of 2018. And they say that it was a electric outlet that had started the blaze, one of those strips that you plug all the plug-ins in, and they claim that that's what burned me out. But Enoch had said that that fire was for me. I do believe he was talking to me, about me. I've had other fires before, and they weren't for me at all, but this here gave me a while that I became prisoner of our king for, well, since November 4th here until February 8th when we moved into this new place. But I hadn't had access or things of that sort to the computer really. Once a week, maybe about an hour a day, that sort of thing, you know, on the computer once a week, and then it got lesser and lesser from there. But that was because of our king's dealings. He had things he wanted to show me, and he showed me so many things, and I remember maybe 2% of what that he showed. That's 0.02% of the entire picture that our king had showed me. And basically I'd like to get into that, but first I'd like to read a little bit about Enoch here. It's in the last chapter. I'll try to remember to put the link for this certain group's book of Enoch that they had done just like everybody else does. They put different words in places which can change meanings. And basically, I'll tell you the truth, I really didn't put much faith into, it wasn't that I didn't put faith into them, it's just that I was kept away from the other books that are not in the scriptures. And yeah, I know that some of the books used to be in the scriptures, but they had been removed some time ago. But my problem with that I came up with to keep me away from these is that there wasn't like a Strong's Concordance. In fact, you know, when the priest and the rabbi were brought in to write, translate, and put in for the King James Version, they were promised they would survive, but some stories say that they were killed at the end of translating the Holy Written words into the King James Version. And these men, what they did was, if there was, you know, say a place where it says, many shall come in my name, you know, it actually shouldn't have been in, it should have been against. Many shall come against my name. So in the Strong's Concordance, they simply documented where the word in should have been against. So as you read the King James, which is directly correlates with the Strong's doesn't directly correlate so much as with the NIV and these other versions, because these other versions came from the King James Version. I hope you can understand what I was saying there. So anyway, I really kept away from the book of Enoch. I read it, and it just didn't make much sense to me, and there were some things in there that I knew just didn't correspond with Scripture, so I totally rejected the book of Enoch. But it was because it wasn't supposed to have been read by me until these last days. And I've been studying for many, many years. I devoted myself to the scriptures, but now that I know the scriptures, I can actually see the things in the book of Enoch, and that most everything there does actually correlate with the scriptures, such as, you know, the reference to the Son of Man. Now, the Son of Man was spoken of by Isaiah and Jeremiah, and a whole bunch of prophets coined the term Son of Man. And our king even referred to himself as the Son of Man. And this is where the Son of Man came from, was the book of Enoch. So there's a lot of validity to these things, and Enoch speaks about the 144,000 in the last days. And what I want to show you right here in 108 basically isn't, you know, to puff me up or anything of that sort, or the other 143,999 others that are here to help all that will be seeking to wash their robes in the blood of our King, and to be forgiven of their sins. So many people out there believe they are right now, and it's great because right now you're protected. Because if you actually were calling on our Heavenly Father's name and our King's name, okay, so you could get to the Heavenly Father, and doing the things that some of you are doing, thinking that you're righteous in what you're doing, and it's totally against the Ten Commandments, or one of the Ten Commandments, or one of the laws, one of the 613 laws that basically define how you must keep the Ten Commandments. If you break a law, you broke everything, okay? And that was talked about. I think it was James wrote about that. But anyway, here Enoch says, those who love Yahweh have loved neither gold nor silver, okay? And I really have no love for it. I mean, you see how many rings and necklaces I wear and everything, I mean, these are my scissors. I really have no love for these things. I can see them being used as a tool. Long ago, I asked our Father, because I had denied Yahshua for a long time. I didn't go to the Father through our King. I thought I could go right straight to the Father because that's what I was taught, and I was in error. But I told the Father, basically when I read one of the prophets or one of the patriarchs of old saying, just give me my food and, shelter, and I'll give you 10% of all I have. Well, I've given everything. It's I only ask for what's provided to me so that I may live, and I don't do the best of that either, but I'm satisfied, and I've came to be content for many years with these things. And now that many of you know that I've brought up the point that I basically own Texas, and much more than that, in fact, because of contracts that America doesn't seem to uphold. In fact, the last time when they tried to murder me, starving me for 44 days, I had billed, or as Enoch calls it, charged the authorities for corruption. Basically it was for contempt of his own courtroom. So I billed the man. I didn't bill the judge. I billed the man that acted as a judge, over $1 million. But there were contracts already in record that I had made before, that I own Abilene, I own Taylor, Callahan, and Coleman counties. And then afterwards, I've put in contracts where I actually own the whole state. But all these things, I don't want them. They mean nothing to me. A big house, fancy cars, they mean nothing to me. And that's what people need to get in their minds as well if they desire to be in the second Exodus. Because, we got to trade everything in for safety and salvation. And there's no promise of safety in the second Exodus either. Neither was there in the first Exodus. There's probably going to be plagues and such that's going to come upon those, because many are going to come just to escape the mark of the beast, or what's going on in the world, or they just can't cope with this and that. And the door will be open as well for them as long as they work. If they don't work, they won't eat, as I stated in my earlier video. And the whole purpose of me bringing up Enoch here is to show that he does actually mention, if you can see it, there's a second Exodus going to take place. Anyway, here in verse 108, verse 8, chapter 108, verse 8, it says, those who love Yahweh have loved neither gold nor silver, nor all the righteous things or good things which are in the world, but have given over their bodies to suffering. And believe you me, I can relate with that. That's something that Enoch spoke of. It's a qualifier for those that are going to head up this here movement, this the second Exodus that a lot of people talk about, but nobody's taken action. I'm making the offer because once the world recognizes that contracts are to be held, then it's got to be paid. And whether we got to go to, the rulers of China and Russia or whatever to put pressure on the United States and tell them, look, we need to put sanctions on you. If you don't honor contracts, why should we do business with you? Okay, and under that aspect might be what brings about the investigation that Enoch spoke of, to where, the authorities will check into what's going on, all the oppressions and everything else, the insanity that's been used against, Yahshua's righteous ones, our Heavenly Father's righteous ones. And what righteousness is Deuteronomy 6:25. I've spoke that many times. It shall be your righteousness if you keep the commandments. I do that. I've been doing it for a long time. It's first nature to me. Nothing do I put my hands to do without first reflecting the law, using it as a guide stick to whether or not I will participate in whatever's being offered. And that's how my life is. I never do my own thinking. I ask our King to do it for me. And I know the thoughts that aren't of the King. And I always at the meet, oh, Yahshua, will you please help me stop these stupid thoughts? I want to be as our King. I want to walk as he did, and those thoughts are not allowing me to do so perfectly, but our King's bringing you out and me out to start doing so. Here in chapter 108, verse 9, it says, who from the time of their very being have not longed after earthly food. Well, I'll tell you, I've said many times, and before I read the book of Enoch, so, I'm not reading Enoch and saying, oh, well, I'll go out and do that so I can be like, one of these righteous ones or the elect that Enoch speaks of. No, I'm not going to do those things. These were written long ago. I never understood any of this until May 8th or 28th, something like that. I've made videos on when the book of Enoch was actually opened up to where I could see these things that are coming to pass and who it was speaking of, at least me. Okay, and I know there's others out there too, and when I tell them about it, well, some people take offense even, thinking that they might be one, because it's hard to live in an era when prophecies are being fulfilled and nobody really knows what is going to take place. But when it does start taking place, some people just shun it and say, no, that can't be. These people can't be. They got to be dead babies, that are going to teach people, how to wash their robes in the blood of our King. And how is a dead baby going to do that? I don't know, but they base their faith on these things. I'm just merely stating, and as you read some of these things, I don't think you'd want these things to come upon you. See, this earthly food, ever since I was born, made me sick. I never desired it as long as I remember eating food, because whenever I ate, I got sick. I felt ill. And come to find out, it was pesticides, and then there were these other things that were put in there, the preservatives, the poisons, then later even the abortions and such. So every time I ate, up until about 5 years ago, I didn't desire eating because I always got sick. I got ill. I just felt horrible after I ate. So I didn't desire any of these earthly foods, but I did chew a lot of Doritos, I'll tell you that, and things of those sort. But always afterwards I got ill and sick, so I didn't even like them. I liked the taste, but I had no desire for them. And it says, and who regarded themselves as a mere passing breath. And I prayed for my death daily for over 15 years. I jumped into a shower anytime there was a thunderstorm coming in, saying, here I am, you want me that bad? Well, you just send down one bolt and fry my butt. Okay, 15 years I did that. And then one day I realized, that I was actually being selfish. I shouldn't want to do that. Our King put so much information into my brain and wrote it into my heart so I could share with others. And here I was desiring to just toss it all away and take a lightning bolt because things weren't going my way. I knew I couldn't commit suicide or I wouldn't be giving you this video. I'd have been dead 40 years ago or maybe longer. But I just knew that was premeditated murder. I couldn't do that to this holy temple here, so I had to keep going, but I was begging him, please, you just put me to sleep, don't let me wake up. I am so fed up with this crap. Everything, I'm sick, and you bulldoze me, and you burn me out, and I wake up in the morning to go to work, I got 3 flats, It's like, and no money. Okay, so my life wasn't easy. And like it says here, and they have observed this matter, Yahweh having put them through much testing. Then he received their pure spirits so that they should bless his name. And of course, these tests and trials we've been going through, the 144,000, we've been going through the tribulation. Yes, there's another tribulation to come, but we're here because we've had so many horrible things done to us that, the Great Tribulation's still going to be tough, but we're not going to lose our head. We'll be able to help you keep your head on and know that, it does talk about people's heads being chopped off, and it talks about the beast that's going to make war with the woman, and that woman is the one who keeps the commandments. Okay, that's who the dragon goes after, and most of you don't keep the commandments. Some of you do, and that's excellent. That's a marvelous thing. You're learning the house rules, but they're also going to be the rules in the second Exodus. Okay? And here in verse 10, he says, and I have recounted the books of all their blessings. Okay? So it's actually a blessing. What is this blessing? It's the testing. Okay? Much testing. That is my blessing, because I was a sinner, real bad sinner. And I'm still a sinner because it clearly speaks. And I believe it's Isaiah or Jeremiah where it talks about, for behold, they believe they're wise and the law is with them, but behold, the lying pens of the scribes have written it falsely or wrong or made error in the laws. So even though we live by the every word, some of that every word may actually have been written wrong to where we're sinning, but in such a way that it's not going to affect our peace. I hope you can understand that. I'm trying to go fast. I'm trying to keep this under 20 minutes. It says, he has caused them to be recompensed, for they were all found loving Yahweh more than the fire of their eternal souls. And while they were being trodden upon by evil people, experiencing abuse and insult by them, they continued blessing him, blessing Yahweh. And I bless him for everything. I blessed him through Yahshua now. I don't deny our king anymore. And I do bless our Father through Yahshua, and I blessed Yahshua for even the last fire. It's like, thank you. Now I don't have anything I got to worry about again taking care of. It's all back to you for the most part, other than what I was wearing and such. But anyway, here, verse 11. So now I shall summon their spirits if they are born of light, and change those who are born in darkness, those whose bodies were not recompensed with honor as they deserved for their faithfulness. In other words, the law says if I keep the laws and commandments, I'm going to have great health. My family is going to be healthy. I'm not going to have any miscarriages. My vegetables are all going to grow abundantly. Well, all these things went to the opposite while I'm keeping the laws and commandments. And look, I'm missing a tooth. I've got aches and pains everywhere. I've had colon cancer, so bad they gave me 6 weeks to live back in 91. I was pooping raw blood, black blood, and blood clots as big as a fist. I had a life of hell, and that's only part of it. One time I broke 7 ribs, one of them in 3 places, 2 of them in 2 places. The rest were only broken 1 when I had slipped in a bathtub. Should have killed most anybody, but, I simply can't die. I got poisoned on tuna fish with the pyrophosphates in there, and I had an allergic reaction that Satan took me to hell. Took me right straight to Gehenna, and I felt those fires for over 28 hours. After that, months and months and months, I itched and I burned and I was sick. And this is only like 3-4 years ago that took place. And I learned that these preservatives in the food, though they should have killed me, it says I could pick up any deadly thing and eat it and it will not harm me. Well, harm should have been translated as kill. Okay? Because, boy, I'll tell you what, while you go through these things, you pray. Minute by minute, please just kill me. Well, I had burned and itched so bad. I had blood flowing all over me. My clothes was ripped out. I couldn't sleep. I mean, we're talking like 28 hours straight of suffering. And after that, I couldn't sleep. You lay down, you're itching everywhere because of the phosphates destroying my body. They took it out of the hand soap because it caused so many allergic reactions with the women washing dishes, rashes and everything. So they took it out of the dish soap and put it in your food. Okay, so it just about killed me. I'm telling you, this is not an easy life. But I've done the suffering for you, as well as myself. So, I mean, even our king was perfected through the pains that he took before the stake. It says here, he says, but anyway, those whose bodies were not recompensed with honor as they deserved for their faithfulness. And faithfulness is, it's morality. It's a moral fidelity. It means that you'll never do anything immoral. Anything immoral is breaking the laws or the commandments or not honoring our king, trusting in him only. All other things are immoral. So you have to have this fidelity, this integrity, to walk in our king's words, his every living word above all else. Here in verse 12, I shall bring them out into the bright light, those who have loved my holy name. Kodesh means holy. And seat them each one by one upon the throne of his honor. So there is something coming, but it just means I got more work to do. I'm looking for a rest. Anyway, verse 13. And they shall be resplendent for ages that cannot be numbered, for the judgment of Yahweh is righteousness. His judgment is the commandments, the laws, because he will give faith as well as paths of life to the faithful ones in the resting place. And I believe this here is talking about that second Exodus. But anyway, it says, they shall see those who were born in darkness being taken into darkness. We're going to see these things just like it was in the days of Moshe out in the wilderness. And he saw those that were in darkness. There were a lot, of those of the Israelites. I mean, Korah came up. What did he do? He was in darkness, okay? And then it says, for they shall see those who were born in darkness being taken into darkness, while the righteous ones, once again, the 144,000 there, shall be resplendent. Okay, they'll shine brighter than most, but it doesn't mean that, it makes anybody else's salvation any lesser. Now, if you make the kingdom, you'll never have tears or pain or sorrow or these things again. The sinners shall cry aloud, and they shall see the righteous ones being resplendent, keeping the laws and commandments the way they're supposed to be. Each one of us representing and walking as Yahshua, our Messiah. One man walking on the earth by himself, preaching to thousands and thousands of people, feeding them, from a couple fish and a couple pieces of bread. And yet, in the Day of Atonement, or the day of Pentecost, only 120, about 120 believed enough to do what our king said and be there at that day out of all them thousands. But then when you take a look, and it's even broader, this great work that you're going to have 144,000 of those walking as Yahshua Messiah walked as your example. It's mind-boggling. And yeah, I know a lot of people are laughing. Oh, you think you're going to be... I don't want to be your leader, okay? I might be a representative of you, but I don't want to lead any of you, okay? Because I'm having enough problems myself just keeping my eyes on our king. Even my name, Al-Yahnai, that means toward Yahshua or toward Father Yahweh are my eyes. And in all my problems, my eyes are there because I can't do anything on my own. So many people think they are reborn, and they haven't even a clue. We'll get into that some other time. But anyway, here in verse 15, the very last verse, it says, the sinners shall cry aloud, and they shall see the righteous ones being resplendent. They shall go to the place which was prescribed for them concerning the days and the seasons. And here ends the revelation of the secrets of Enoch. So anyway, this is... hopefully you'll be able to see part of this fire here that took place. I hope I got the camera set up in such a way with that. And as a last word here that we'll carry on with in the videos to come, this was part 2 of the second Exodus video series. The basic rules, of course, as we say, for those that do desire to go with us, because we're going to be living under the ecclesiastical laws. Okay, the ecclesiastical jurisdiction is what we're going to live under. And as long as you keep the laws and commandments, you'll never be judged. But if you're out there stealing or raping or murdering or whatever, whatever it is, whether stoning or whether paying back or being sold into slavery, or bondage, whatever way you prefer to look at it, so that it'll be a way that they'll never steal again. And there's no reason for it, because the opportunity here is nobody should want to steal from anyone anyway. Everybody should want to do the best they can for their brother and sister so that we can have complete peace. That's the whole purpose of this, but it's going to be horrendous for some people, and it's going to be, the closest thing to heaven for others. The basic things that we need to get in our minds, even before you consider whether or not you'd like to be part of this once the investigation Enoch spoke about takes place and all the things set up in order, is, above and beyond the 630, not above and beyond, it's bringing it down to another perspective to see it. But in all things that are of the utmost importance, of all these things, we have to have unity. Okay, all the laws and commandments, trusting in our King only, we have to have complete unity with that. Otherwise, it's not going to work, and you're going to die. If you choose to go out there, you're going to end up dying if you don't believe in the unity. And the other things that lack the importance of salvation. Okay, so all things pertaining to salvation, it has to be a complete unity. Otherwise, you're going to be judged. Okay, that is that simple. The things that aren't so much, okay, you can speak about prophecies, all these things amongst each other, and all these things have to be dealt with liberty, because if you're out there and you're teaching false prophecy, well, you're not in unity. And when you teach false prophecy, you can read the laws and find out what comes upon you. But bringing things out in question or in conversation, but if you're going to jump on somebody's back like a chicken on a June bug and say, oh no, it's this way, no, that's not how it is. We have to have liberty. Liberty means you have responsibility. Responsibility from what comes out your mouth and what your hands do and your actions. There's judgments against acting badly and such, and there's also benefits and great reward in doing what's right and being in unity. And then, of course, the third part is in everything else, what bait you put on a fishing hook, what you're going to do here or there or whatever. Love. Okay? We love. We're not going to argue. We're not going to be an argumentative people. We're going to be coming out in the second Exodus, not so much to escape the world, which we're told to come out and be separate from among her. It's more or less to be closer to our King, because in Numbers, when we pray together, we'll move mountains. Okay, so with those things in mind, I just I pray that our King bless you. Sorry about the quality of these videos. I'm still trying to figure it out. May our King bless you, and may he bless every righteous thing you put your hands to do. Please pray about these things. Think about it. Leave comments if you like it. Put a thumbs up maybe. I don't want your money.